The tendency to accept electron decreases and thus Lewis acid strength also decreases. So that sulfur dioxide gas, when it is mixed with water, it will give me sulfurous acid. We are burning water gas. What is water gas? It is carbon monoxide plus, and they have told has CCP arrangement for its element Y. That means welcome back to part 3 of Karnataka CET 2014 chemistry question paper. We'll start with the 41st question. The species that is not hydrolyzed in water is BaO2, CaC2, P4O10, Mg3N2. The one which is not hydrolyzed in water. The only one option which is given here which is not hydrolyzed in water is BaO2. It will form barium hydroxide and hydrogen peroxide and will not hydrolyze in water. Okay, whereas here you can get calcium hydroxide as well as C2H2 and you will get H3PO4 acid you will get here, and here magnesium hydroxide and ammonia gas is formed when it is treated with water. All the other three undergoes hydrolysis unlike BaO2. So option A is the correct answer. Okay, next question. For the properties mentioned, the correct trend for the different species is inert pair effect, that is aluminium, gallium and indium is the least. Okay, then first ionization enthalpy, boron, aluminium and thallium. Then option C, strength as Lewis acid, BCl3, AlCl3, GaCl3. Then you have oxidizing property, that is Al plus 3, In plus 3 and Tl plus 3. Here if you see, for the property mentioned, the correct trend you have to correct or you have to tick. Okay. So inert pair effect, as we come down the group, it will go on increasing, not decreasing. So it is wrong. Also ionization enthalpy, there are some exceptions in group 13. So it is not right. The correct trend is the strength as Lewis acid. As we come down the group, the tendency to accept electron decreases and thus Lewis acid strength also decreases. So this is the correct answer. Okay. 43rd one, the correct statement is MnBr4 minus 2 is tetrahedral, NiNH3 6 plus 2 is an inner orbital complex. Option C, CONH3 6 plus 2 is paramagnetic. COBr2En2 minus exhibits linkage isomerism. So they are asking us to tick the correct statement. Of course, just by looking into the ligands, it is not linkage isomerism. So this statement is wrong. Also, if you see NiNH3 6 plus 2 state, that means nickel is in plus 2 state, isn't it? And in plus 2 state, it has got 3d 8 electrons. So if you observe here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So even if this is a strong ligand and if it comes and pairs up, then still it cannot form D2sp3 hybridization. Thus it is not an inner orbital complex, it should be an outer orbital complex. So this will be wrong. If you observe this MnBr4 minus 2, so manganese here is in plus 2 state. In plus 2 state, it has got 3d5 electrons, that is manganese in plus 2 state. Okay, so it has got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 unpaired electrons. Then it has got S and P orbital which is empty. Because bromine is a weak ligand, here pairing up cannot take place and thus it is sp3 hybridization which will take place, and if it is sp3 hybridization it will give tetrahedral structure. So option A is right. But what about this CONH3 6 plus 2 state they have asked. So cobalt in plus 2 state has got 3d7 electrons. So if you observe here, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. So 7 electrons are there. Even if pairing up takes place, as NH3 is a strong ligand, still we'll have one unpaired electron which will be left, isn't it? Thus it should be paramagnetic itself. So even statement C is correct. So we have two correct answers for this particular question, that is A and C. Okay. So that's about the question number 43. Next question. Iodoform reaction is answered by all except CH3, CHO, CH3, CH2, CH2OH, CH3, CHOH, CH2, COOH, CH3, CH2OH. For iodoform reaction to be answered, we require CH3, C double bond O group or CH3, CHOH group. So this group or this group should be present for iodoform reaction to be answered. So option A, CH3CO group is present, it will answer. Here if you see CH3, CH2, CH2OH group is present. Of course you have CH2, CH2OH which is present. You do not have CH3, CHOH group. So this is the one which will not answer iodoform, but we will see the other. See here, this group is present, so it will answer. Same way here also CH3, CH and OH is present. So even this will answer iodoform reaction. It is the primary alcohol which we have which will not answer iodoform reaction. Okay. So option B is the correct answer. 45th question. A crystalline solid XY3 has CCP arrangement for its element Y. X occupies option A 33% of tetrahedral voids, option B 33% of octahedral voids, option C 66% of tetrahedral voids, option D 66% of octahedral voids. So we have to find out what is the percentage of X that occupies which of the voids, whether it occupies tetrahedral voids or whether it occupies octahedral voids. See the formula XY3, okay, and they have told has CCP arrangement for its element Y. That means the element Y has a CCP arrangement. Therefore, number of element Y in a unit cell is 4 because it is occupying CCP arrangement. Therefore, the formula I can also write it as X 4 by 3 and Y 4. Only then I will get XY3 type, isn't it? Therefore, number of atoms of X is equal to 4 by 3. So, if 4 by 3 atoms of X is there and it is occupying octahedral voids, then how many octahedral voids should be there? See, the number of element Y is 4. That means the number of octahedral voids also will be 4. So, number of octahedral void is equal to 4 and number of tetrahedral void will be equal to 8. So, therefore, we will see the percentage, okay. So, if X occupies octahedral void, then 4 by 3 out of 4 if it occupies, percentage I want. So, into 100 if I do, I will be getting this as 4 and 4 gets cancelled, 100 divided by 3. So, it will be 33%. Okay. So, the answer is it will occupy 33% of octahedral voids. So, option B is the correct answer. 46th question. C6H5COOH with ammonia, when it is heated it gives P. P with NaOBr gives Q. And then with concentrated H2SO4 when it is heated to 460 Kelvin it gives R. So, what is R? Instead of just seeing these options, we can right away write the equation. Okay. So, it is benzoic acid COOH. First with ammonia NH3, it will form COONH4 plus. When it is heated, water molecule will be removed. You will get it as CONH2. Further, when it is treated with NaOBr, what will be formed? CO group will be removed. You will get it as NH2, that is aniline. Okay. Then further, when it is treated with concentrated H2SO4, you will get NH3 plus HSO4 minus. Next, further, when it is heated to 460 Kelvin, okay, you will get NHSO3H, which will undergo rearrangement to give NH2 and SO3H, which is nothing but sulfanylic acid. Option D is the correct answer. Okay. So we'll see the next question. The statement that is not correct: carbohydrates are optically active. Lactose has glycosidic linkage between C4 of glucose and C1 of galactose unit. Aldose or ketose sugar in alkaline medium do not isomerize. Pentaestate of glucose does not react with hydroxylamine. So we have to find out which of these statement is not correct. Okay, we'll see one by one. Carbohydrates are optically active. Yes, they are optically active. It is correct. Lactose has glycosidic linkage between C4 of glucose and C1 of galactose unit. That's also right. Option C, I am not sure as of now. Okay. Aldose or ketose sugar is in alkaline medium do not isomerize is what they have given. Option D, we will see whether it is correct. Pentacetate of glucose does not react with hydroxylamine. Of course, that will not react with hydroxylamine. So, the statement which is wrong should be option C, that is aldose or ketose sugar in alkaline medium do not isomerize. Okay. So, option C is the statement which is wrong. 48th question. Match the reactant in column 1 with the reaction in column 2. So, we will first solve this and then we will see which option we can choose. Okay. So, acetic acid is HBZ reaction. So, it is C. Sodium phenate, it is Kolbe reaction. Methyl cyanide, Stephan reaction. Toluene is Friedel-Crafts reaction. So, you can see the first option and the last option and see the other options which is right. Okay. So, 1 should be C. 1 should be C. We have two options, that is B and D. So, option A and D are completely wrong. Okay. Then we have 4 as B. So, 4 as B, here also it is 4 as B. So, now we are forced to see all the other options as well. So, 2 is D. So, 2 is D, 3 is A, 4 is B. So, it is option B which is correct. Okay. Next question. The statement that is not correct is: in solid state, PCl5 exists as PCl4 plus and PCl6 minus. Option B, phosphorus acid on heating disproportionate to give metaphosphoric acid and phosphine. Hypophosphorus acid reduces silver nitrate to silver. Pure phosphine is non-inflammable. They are asking us which is not correct. Phosphorus acid on heating disproportionates to give metaphosphoric acid and phosphine. This statement is wrong. That's why this is the correct option. Then what does it give? It gives H3PO4, that is phosphoric acid, not metaphosphoric acid. Okay. So, this is absolutely correct option which we need to choose. That is, the reaction is H3PO3 will undergo disproportionation to give H3PO4 and PH3, okay, and not metaphosphoric acid. So this is the wrong statement. Next question, 50th one, in which one of the pair of ion given, there is an ion that forms a coordination compound with both aqueous sodium hydroxide and ammonia, and another ion that forms coordination compounds only with aqueous sodium hydroxide. So you have to find out one of the pairs which will react with both aqueous sodium hydroxide and ammonia, that is with NaOH and ammonia it should form complex. The other ion will react only with NaOH and it will not react with ammonia to form a complex. So we have to find out which pair of ions that is. So first one is zinc Zn plus 2 will react with both sodium hydroxide and ammonia, as well as aluminium will react with sodium hydroxide but it will not react with NH3 to form a complex. So option A is the one which is right. Aluminium will not react with both, so that is ruled out. Again, lead and copper we have taken. Copper will react with ammonia but sodium hydroxide. Lead, again, reaction with both is not possible. Copper and zinc we have. Zinc reacts with both but copper will not react with both. It will react with ammonia but sodium hydroxide it does not. So it is option A which is the correct answer. Okay, next question. A crystalline solid X reacts with dilute HCl to liberate the gas Y. Y decolorizes acidified KMnO4 when a gas Z is slowly passed into an aqueous solution of Y. Colloidal sulfur is obtained. So X and Z could be respectively. So what is it? A crystalline solid X. So X is taken and when it reacts with dilute HCl, X reacts with dilute HCl will liberate a gas Y. So this is a gas, okay, and Y decolorizes acidified KMnO4. So when this is passed through KMnO4, it gets decolorized, okay. When a gas Z is slowly passed into the aqueous solution of Y, so we take Y and its aqueous solution, okay. For that what we are doing? A gas Z is slowly passed. This is a gas, it is passed, okay. A colloidal sulfur is obtained. We get sulfur colloid as precipitate. So what is X and Z? So they are asking us what is X and what is Z. So what is different options which we have? Na2SO4, H2S, Na2SO4, SO2, Na2S, SO3, Na2SO3, H2S. So we have to find out how exactly the reactions are occurring, okay. Now if you see the options for X, it should be Na2SO4 or Na2S or Na2SO3. We know that Na2SO3 when it reacts with dilute HCl, that is Na2SO3 with dilute HCl, when it reacts you will get NaCl plus SO2 gas as well as H2 will be formed. So this is the gas Y which can decolorize KMnO4, correct. Now if this SO2 gas is mixed with water, it will give sulfurous acid, H2SO3. This sulfurous acid if I take H2SO3, sulfurous acid, and pass H2S gas to it, then sulfur will be precipitated to form a colloid. So the answer is Na2SO3 and H2S. Okay, so no other options is going to give me sulfur dioxide gas. So that sulfur dioxide gas, when it is mixed with water, it will give me sulfurous acid. Sulfurous acid with H2S only will give us colloidal sulfur. Okay, so we do not have all of them in correct combination except the option D. So option D is the correct answer. Next question. An aromatic compound A, on reacting with NaNO2 with HCl at 0 degrees Celsius, forms benzyl alcohol and nitrogen gas. The number of isomers possible for the compound A is. So what is the aromatic compound A? It is C7H9N. So it is benzene ring. C6H5 is done. You have one more CH2 group. Okay. So you have 6-7 carbon atoms, 5-6-7 hydrogen atoms and 1 nitrogen atom with 2. So it is C7H9N. So this compound, when it is treated with NaNO2 with HCl at 0 degrees Celsius, what will happen is you will get benzyl alcohol, that is CH2OH. Now, what are the number of isomers possible for compound A? For this one, how many isomers are possible is what they are asking. So, this is the first one which I can write. The other isomer what I can write is CH3 with NH2. One more, I can just change the position of NH2 groups. So, I will put it in meta position. Then I will put it in para position. Last one more type I can write it is NHCH3. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5 isomers possible. So it is option C which is the right answer. Okay. So option C is correct. Next question. The statement that is not correct is collectors enhance the wettability of mineral particles during flotation. Copper from its low grade ore is extracted by hydrometallurgy. A furnace lined with hematite is used to convert cast iron to wrought iron. In vapor phase refining, metal should form volatile compounds. So they are asking which is the statement which is not correct. B, C and D are absolutely correct. It is option A which is wrong. That is collectors enhance the non-wettability of mineral particles during froth flotation. It is not wettability. Okay, so option A is the one which is the wrong statement. Next question. A solution of 1.25 grams of P in 50 grams of water lowers freezing point by 0.3 degree Celsius. Molar mass of P is 94. Kf, that is of water, is 1.86 Kelvin kg per mole. The degree of association of P in water is 60%, 75%, 80%, 65%. So we need to find out the percentage of association of P in water. Okay. So first we already have the data delta TF is equal to I we need to find out. Kf is given, molality we can find out. What is molality? Number of moles of the solute by mass of the solvent in kg. We know that 1.25 grams is there in 50 grams of water. So in 1000 grams of water, how many grams are there? If we find out, that is 1000 into 1.25 divide by 50. If I do, I will get it as 25, isn't it? So 25 grams is present in 1000 grams. So number of moles is mass by molecular mass. Already this is 1 kg, 1000 grams is 1 kg, isn't it? So if I substitute here, I'll get it as delta TF is 0.3, I need to find out, Kf is 1.86 and this will become 25 by 94, that is the number of moles I am finding out. 94 I got it from here, the molar mass, okay. So number of moles by 1 kg because I have already found out the mass in 1 kg, isn't it? Thus, I will be equal to 0.3 into 94 divided by 1.86 into 25. So I value will be 0.6064. If I solve this, I'll get this as I value. Now once I know I value, I can find out the degree of association, isn't it? So alpha is equal to I minus 1 divided by 1 by n minus 1. So what is I? It is 0.6064 minus 1 divide by 1 by 2 minus 1. So you will get it as minus 0.3936 divide by minus 0.5. So minus and minus, it becomes a positive value, and if you see roughly, you will get it as 0.787, or in percentage if I have to tell, it is 78.7 or 78.5%. Somewhere above 78% is the answer. I have just approximated there. Okay, and above 75% we have the number as 80%. So the answer should be 80%. As I told you all, it is a higher level question, and because of that, this has been awarded grace marks. Okay, and you do not get the perfect answer here. Yes or no? That's the reason. Of course, it is grace marks. Okay, this is the way to solve this particular question. Next question. Volume occupied by single CsCl ion pair in a crystal is 7.014 into 10 power minus 23 cm cube. The smallest CsCs, that is cesium internuclear distance, is equal to the length of the side of the cube corresponding to the volume of one cesium chloride ion pair. The smallest cesium to cesium internuclear distance is nearly. See, what they have given is volume occupied by single cesium chloride ion pair in the crystal is this. Okay. The smallest cesium to cesium internuclear distance is equal to the length of the side. So what they are telling is this internuclear distance is equal to the length of the side, that is the edge length, okay, of the cube, corresponding to the volume of one cesium chloride ion pair. Okay, the smallest cesium to cesium internuclear distance is nearly, you are finding out what is the internuclear distance, and we know internuclear distance is equal to the edge length. Okay, so and also they have given volume occupied. So from the volume occupied, I can get the edge length, and that edge length only is the cesium internuclear distance. So A cube, that is the volume occupied, is 7.014 into 10 to the power minus 23 cm cube. So cube root, if I take of, I'll make it as 70.14 into 10 to the power minus 24, so that it's easy. So cube root of 70 is nearly 4.12 into 10 to the power minus 8. Okay, it is 4.12 into 10 power minus 8 centimeter. Okay, I want in angstrom, so it is 4.12 into 10 to the power minus 10. Centi means 10 power minus 2 meters. This is nothing but angstrom. So this is 4.1. The closest one is 4. So it is 4 angstrom is the answer, option D. Okay. So that's about the 55th question. 56th one. For Cr2O7 minus 2 plus 14H plus taking 6 electrons, 2 Cr plus 3 and 7 H2O. This is the reaction given. E0 is 1.33 volt at Cr2O7 2 minus is equal to 4.5 millimoles, and molar concentration of Cr plus 3 is 15 millimoles. E is 1.067 volt. The pH of the solution is nearly equal to 3,425. So how do we solve this problem? We first need to write the formula. E is equal to E naught minus 0.059 by N log of, here if you see what is there on the product side? It is Cr plus 3 to the power 2 and H2O to the power 7 divided by, if you see, you have Cr2O7 2 minus and H plus to the power 14 we have, and of course N is 6 what is given, because we have 6 electrons which is involved, isn't it? So what is E? E is 1.067, E naught is 1.33 minus 0.059 divided by 6 log of molar concentration of chromium is 15 millimoles. Okay, so it is milli 10 to the power minus 3 square, and then you have H2O is 1 to the power 7, and then you have chromium, that is 4.5 millimoles, so it is 4.5 into 10 to the power minus 3 into H plus to the power 14. So we need to find out the H plus ion concentration so that we get the pH of the solution. Okay, so if you are very quick, it is easy, but of course if you are not so very quick, then you will find it a little difficult here. Okay, so 1.067 minus 1.33 is equal to minus of 0.0098 log of 225 into 10 to the power minus 6 divided by 4.5 into 10 to the power minus 3 H plus to the power 14 is what we get till here. So further, if we solve, you will get it as minus 0.263 divided by minus of 0.0098, which is equal to log, here if I divide, I will get it as 50 into 10 to the power minus 3. So 50 into 10 to the power minus 3 by H plus ion to the power 14. So if I divide this, I will get it as 26.74 is equal to log 50 into 10 to the power minus 3 minus log of H plus to the power 14. So I will just keep it as it is and we shall solve this. Log 50 divided by 1000, it will be 0.005, which I can write it as the log value. If I solve, I will get it as minus 1.3010. Okay, and this is 14 log H plus ion. Okay, so log minus log of H plus ion is called as pH. So I can write this as 26.74, move it to the other side, it becomes plus 1.3010 is equal to 14 pH, because minus log H plus ion is called as pH. So pH will be equal to 27.74 divided by 14. So pH will be approximately equal to 2. Okay, so the answer is option C. Okay, so that's how we solve this problem. All of these problems are little higher level. You require to be very quick with your calculation and thorough with the concept, only then you will be able to solve. Okay, 57th question. 1.78 grams of an optically active L-amino acid A is treated with NaNO2 HCl at 0 degree Celsius, gives 448 cm cube of nitrogen at STP. A sample of protein has 0.25% of this amino acid by mass, and the molar mass of protein is. So you have to find out the molar mass of protein. What is given is 1.78 grams of the amino acid when it is treated with NaNO2 and HCl at 0 degree Celsius gives 448 cm cube of nitrogen gas. So what is given? 1.78 grams is giving 448 cm cube of nitrogen. So we know that if it liberates 22,400 cm cube of nitrogen, that will be its molecular mass of amino acid. So we'll first find out the molecular mass of amino acid. Okay, that is 1.78 into 22,400 divided by 448. If I solve this, I'll get it as 89. Okay. Now, this is the molecular mass of amino acid. Next, what they have given is a sample of protein has 0.25% of this amino acid. So, out of 100, 0.25 grams is of this amino acid. Then, if this is the molecular mass, what should be the mass of amino acid? I can easily find out. So, if 100 is the mass of protein, then 0.25% of this amino acid is there by mass. So, if the molecular mass is 89, how much would be the mass of protein? So, it is 100 into 89 divided by 0.25. So, if we do this, we will be getting it as 35,600 gram per mole. This is a grace marks question. Of course, all the information to find out the exact mass is not there, but we can just tell that this is the method of solving. Of course, this is given as grace marks. Okay. So, 58th question. 10 grams of a mixture of BaO and CaO requires 100 cm cube of 2.5 molar HCl to react completely. The percentage of calcium oxide in the mixture is approximately. You are supposed to find out the percentage of calcium oxide in the mixture. Of course, this question is actually not from your syllabus and it is given grace marks, but how exactly we are going to solve this, I shall just give you an idea. Okay, so first thing is we are going to find out the number of moles of BaO and number of moles of CaO, calcium oxide, and number of moles of HCl. Okay, how do we do this? Number of moles of barium oxide. So let me consider that the mass of calcium oxide is x grams. Okay, so mass by, we can't take molecular mass because it's a mixture, we are taking equivalent mass and they are reacting with one another. So equivalent mass of calcium oxide is 56 divided by 2, that is molecular mass divided by 2. So 56 divided by 2, I get it as 28. Correct? So if the mass of calcium oxide is x, then the mass of barium oxide is 10 minus x, because total we have 10 grams. So this is mass is 10 minus x and by equivalent mass we will get it as 76.5. Okay, that is equivalent mass of barium oxide is 153 divided by 2, that is 76.5. Okay, so this is the number of moles. Now number of moles of HCl, how do we get it? We know the formula, molarity is equal to number of moles by volume of the solution in liters. So number of moles of HCl will be 2.5 is the molarity into 100 by 1000 you will get. Now I am going to equate both of this to get 10 minus x by 76.5 plus x by 28 is equal to 2.5 into 100 by 1000. So I get cancelled, I'll get it as 0.25. So 10 minus x 76.5 plus x by 28 is equal to 2.5 by 10. So if I solve x by using this equation, I'll get the answer as 5.26, and once I know x, I can calculate the percentage of calcium oxide in the mixture, that is 5.26 out of 10 grams. So out of 100, how much? So it will be 100 into 5.26 divided by 10. So it will be 52.6%. So the answer is option C. So the correct answer is 52.6. Okay. 59th one. The ratio of heats liberated at 298 Kelvin from the combustion of 1 kg of coke and by burning water gas obtained from kg of coke is, assume coke to be 100% carbon, given enthalpies of combustion is CO2, CO and H2 is 393.5 kilojoules, 285 kilojoules, 285 kilojoules respectively at 298 Kelvin. So, you are supposed to find out the ratio of heat liberated from combustion of 1 kg of coke and by burning water gas obtained from that 1 kg of coke. Okay. So, here first we will find out the number of moles of coke. How is it? We have 1 kg and they have told assume coke to be 100% carbon, isn't it? What is the mass of carbon? It is 12. So, first I will find out the number of moles of coke. Moles of coke is 1000 divided by 12, that is 83.33. This is the number of moles of coke. First, what are we going to burn? That is coke on combustion, that is carbon plus oxygen gives carbon dioxide. Carbon plus oxygen gives carbon dioxide and delta H for this is 393.5 kilojoules. Now, how much of carbon I have? That is coke I have 83.33. So, this is for 1 mole. So 83.33 moles, how much? We'll have to calculate. So, I'll just keep this as it is. Okay. Next, we are burning water gas. What is water gas? It is carbon monoxide plus hydrogen. When you are burning that, it is with oxygen. It will give carbon dioxide and water. So, for this, delta H will be carbon monoxide and hydrogen is there. So, it is 285 plus 285, that is 570 kilojoules, but that is for 1 mole. But how much of coke we have? From here whatever we obtained is what we are burning. So again this is into 83.33. So now I take the ratio of both to get the ratio. Okay. So when we take the ratio, 83.33 and 83.33 gets cancelled. You will get it as 393.5 is to 570, that is 0.69 is to 1. So the answer is 0.69 is to 1. Okay. But of course this was allotted grace marks. Okay. Next question. Impure copper containing Fe, Au, Ag as impurities is electrolytically refined. A current of 140 ampere for 482.5 seconds decrease the mass of anode by 22.26 grams and increase the mass of cathode by 22.11 gram. Percentage of iron in impure copper is given. Molar mass of iron and molar mass of copper is given. So we have to find out the percentage of iron in impure copper. Okay. First we are going to find out the amount of impurity. How? That is amount of impurity is equal to decreased mass of anode, that is 22.26 minus increased mass of cathode, that is 22.011. Okay. So you are going to get it as 0.249 grams. Okay. So the first step is to find out the amount of impurity. Next we are going to find out the amount of pure copper deposited. W is equal to ZIT. So pure copper deposited. W is equal to ZIT. What is Z? E by 96,500. What is E for copper? That is 63.54 by 96,500. Amperes of current is 140. So 140 time is 482.5 seconds. So if I solve this, I'll get it as 22.239 grams. Okay. Now, next what we are going to do? First we found out the amount of impurity, then we found out the pure copper deposited, the mass of pure copper deposited. Next we are going to find out the mass of impurity. How? See, the cathode mass increased by 22.011 grams, but what was the copper which was deposited? 22.239. So, there should be impurity. So, what is the amount of iron impurity? We are going to find out. So, the amount of iron impurity is equal to 22.239 minus 22.011. Okay, this is 0.228 grams. This is the amount of iron impurity which we got. Now using Faraday's law, weight of iron deposited by weight of copper deposited, okay, is equal to equivalent mass of iron, it is 27.5, okay, divide by equivalent mass of copper we need to do. What is equivalent mass of copper? It is 31.7. So it is 31.7. We know the weight of copper which is deposited. So weight of iron which is deposited is 27.5 divided by 31.7 into the weight of copper deposited, or that impurity is, that is 0.228, which is approximately equal to 0.199 grams. So percentage, if I go to find out of 0.199 grams, it will come as, so percentage if I have to find out, it is 0.199 out of 22.26 into 100, that is nothing but 0.89, which is approximately 0.90. Okay, so this is the answer, but then of course this is already told as grace marks because it is out of your syllabus, or it is a higher level question which cannot be asked for you all. Okay, so I hope you have understood all the questions of Karnataka CET 2014 paper. Thank you my dear children. Stay tuned, stay focused.